Welcome to the Quiet Your Inner Mean Girl podcast, a place for you to find the courage you need to take the first step and every step thereafter to create the habits, the confidence, and the life that you love. I'm your host, health and life coach, Abby Hegney. Let's dive in. Welcome back to episode 40. Today, I have a very special episode for you. In honor of the 40th episode, I wanted to take you on a little journey. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, why I got into coaching, and the start of the Quiet Your Inner Mean Girl method. If I am being completely honest, I feel a little nervous about this episode. I have spent the past 40 weeks really focusing on bringing you topics that I think will be most valuable to you in your everyday life. Topics that I have experienced myself, topics that my clients are experiencing, and topics I'm sure you are experiencing in some way as well. Because you are human with a human brain, and with every human brain comes an inner mean girl and a confident self. It feels very vulnerable to come on here and talk about myself and my journey. But I do think that there is value in bringing you through this journey, hearing my story, and getting to know me more personally and seeing that just like you, I have a human brain. And I know for me that I connect so much more deeply with someone when I feel like I know and I understand them more. Listening to their stories, the challenges that they've faced, the decisions they've made, and what has helped them through it inspires me. And I hope that this episode does the same for you. And I thought this week, episode 40, would be the perfect time to do this because I was almost 40 when I made what feels like the biggest bet on myself. And I have been talking to quite a few women lately who are coming up on turning 40 as well. And they are seeing it as a time in their life where big things are coming their way, which I think is such a big shift in how women are looking at 40. But even though they see their 40s as potentially being the best decade of their lives, there is a hint of doubt and fear and nervousness, which is 1000% normal. And I hope that my story helps you, whether you are turning 40 or 50 or 60 or 30, to see that anything is possible. I hope that my journey serves as an example of what you are capable of when you bet on yourself. When you quiet the doubt and the fear and the nervousness of your inner mean girl and believe in yourself enough to think, but maybe I can. People tell me all of the time, you were born to be a coach. But I haven't always been a coach. I actually spent over 15 years of my life working in for and nonprofit organizations, leading global accounts. But when I came across coaching, I knew right away that it's what I needed to be doing. I felt it in my core. Because I had struggled for so long, I didn't even know that not struggling was an option until I found a way that worked for me. Nearly 20 years later. When I was just about 12 years old, I was in gymnastics. It was the love of my life at that age. Like my own daughter now, I couldn't stop doing cartwheels and flips and anything that I could use as a gymnastics apparatus, I was using as a gymnastics apparatus. Just ask my best friend's mom how many times she had to replace the bar in my best friend's closet. And ask my dad what happened to his ping pong table, but only ask him on a good day because I think he's still upset about it. But that hopefully gives you an idea of how much I loved that sport. And I still love that sport. My daughter's in gymnastics. I love it. I think it's fantastic. One day at practice, one of my coaches made a comment about needing to watch our weight because gymnasts are meant to be small. And I always say that I don't think he meant any harm by that. I have to believe that for myself. And most girls may not have thought anything of it. They may not have even heard it, but I did. I heard it and I grabbed hold of it. From that day forward, I was obsessed with staying small. In my mind, smaller was better because that is what I heard. Food became an obsession. The less, the better. Exercise became something I had to do. And if I felt like I ate too much, I had to exercise more. I would save my money and I would go to the store just to buy the magazines that had the workout plans and the meal plans, especially the ones that would thin my thighs and flatten my stomach. I would rip them out and I would keep them in binders in my room. I would do those workouts every night, sometimes multiple times a day, and I would see what I should and I shouldn't eat. I would constantly compare myself to others. And if I thought their body was better than mine, it was eating less and more movement. It was so unhealthy. And yet I thought I was the healthy one. I was watching what I ate and I was exercising. How could that not be healthy? Honestly, I just thought this is what women and girls do. We diet, we watch what we eat, we restrict our foods, we exercise a lot, we try to stay small, and we aim for the magazine perfect bodies. And remember, I'm in my 40s, so social media wasn't a thing at that time. Thank God. But also, more of a need for coaching because now that is in our face 100,000 times a day. I was 12 when this all started. I was 32 when I realized how unhealthy it really was. And that realization came when I found out that I was pregnant with our son. When that pregnancy test read positive, I was so happy. We were so happy. This is what we wanted. And at the same time, I had the thought, I have to gain weight. I didn't know how to do that. I had just spent 20 years of my life trying not to gain weight. At one point, I was weighing myself like 3 times a day to make sure that I hadn't gained anything. But in that moment, I knew that I would have to. I wanted to. I wanted a healthy baby. I wanted a healthy pregnancy. I also realized that I wanted to change. I wanted to enjoy my life. And I do want to be clear, I lived a very good life. I had a lot of fun with my friends. I went out in college. I had a great high school experience. I had a great childhood. My mom used to call me her happy girl, but nobody knew how much I was beating myself up inside. This is why when women tell me on their consultation call that they want to talk to their husbands before joining Confident Mind and Body, I tell them absolutely. But first, let's talk about what you want. Because I know that their husbands don't know what they are going through every day. They don't know how they feel. They don't know the stories that they are constantly feeding themselves. They don't understand the way that they feel or the way that they want to feel. Only they know that. And my job as a coach is to make sure that they see that they are the only ones who know what they are experiencing and what they want to experience. I knew that I didn't want to obsess anymore about food, about my body, about a number on the scale. My gosh, I did not want to obsess about a number anymore. It is so ridiculous, but I know it's so common for us women. We let a number on an electronic device determine our mood, our confidence, our worth. And that is what really got me thinking. How could a number on a scale possibly determine my mood, my confidence, and my worth if I was about to grow a baby? The most amazing thing that the human body can do. And in order to do that in the healthiest way possible for me and my baby, I needed to gain weight. Did that mean that I couldn't be happy or confident or worthy while I was pregnant? And then every day after that, my body carried the baby weight? I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was determined. I was done living the way that I was living. I was done feeling that uncomfortable in my body. I was done feeling so self-conscious all of the time. I was done beating myself up. I decided I couldn't love my body. I knew I couldn't. That felt too hard. I had hated my body for far too long, but I could stop hating it. That's the pact that I made for myself. Every time I heard that inner mean girl, who I didn't know at the time was my inner mean girl, because I don't think most of us know we have an inner mean girl until we know we have an inner mean girl. And that's what I hope this podcast shows you, is that somewhere along the line, your inner mean girl is chiming in the small way, maybe in big ways, but probably more so in subtle ways. But every time I heard her voice saying those stories that I had heard for 20 years, "Oh, my thighs are so big. Look at my stomach." Or one of those, I don't know, 25,000 plus stories she told me, I would force myself to say, not today. And at that time, that was it. But it was enough. I didn't love my body, but I stopped hating it. And I actually ended up loving being pregnant. I got to enjoy my pregnancy without obsessing over my body or my weight or how I was going to bounce back afterwards. And that felt so good. And eventually, not hating my body turned to acknowledging the body that I had. And that turned into accepting my body. And then I started to like my body and then be proud of my body. And eventually, I was able to love my body. It's my body. It's my job to love my body and to treat it from a place of love. And I realized that when I treat my body from a place of love, it's hard to hate my body. If you haven't listened to the episode I did on loving your body to change, I think is the title of it, please go back and listen to it. I talk about this process in that episode. Okay, so fast forward 5 years, my son was in kindergarten just prior to the COVID pandemic. And I came across an article on health coaching, and it talked about how our health is so much more than food and exercise. Everything that I had always focused all of my effort on. It talked about how our health is connecting with people that we love, and it's gratitude. And of course, it's sleep and all of the other elements that we take for granted. And it talked about how health coaches help people to connect all of these pieces in a way that works for them individually. And as soon as I read that article, I remember thinking, I need to do this. I looked into different certification programs and I found one that I really liked. And that same night, I remember my husband and I went out to dinner and I told him about it. And I said, I'm going to do this. And listen, I am a very indecisive person, or I was a very indecisive person before coaching. I couldn't even order dinner off a menu without getting at least two other opinions. But I didn't need his approval. I didn't need him to tell me that it was okay to spend the money or that he believed in me or that he believed that this was the right decision for me. I knew that I wanted it. I knew I needed to do it because on the other side of doing it was this life that I could see so clearly. A life helping women to feel healthier and more confident in their bodies without obsessing over their bodies, without restricting food, without feeling deprived. I could see helping women overcome the challenges that they were facing without having to do it on their own, like I did for 20 years. I got certified, and then, like every good health coach, I shared pictures of my meals on Instagram. I gave healthy tips, add more color to your plate and Make sure you're getting protein and drink your water. And I did this for probably a year or two until I realized I'm just doing everything that those magazines did to me, giving information that I already knew. So I started to really think about what had kept me stuck for so long. I knew what to do. I had the binders, I had all of the information. And that's when the Quiet Your Inner Mean Girl method was born. I realized that knowing was not my problem. It's not the problem, especially nowadays. We have all of the information we could ever need at our fingertips because the internet and social media and AI, if you want to know something, it's available to you in seconds. Back in the day, it took me a little bit longer to get that information, but it was still available to me. I always found it. I knew what to do. You know what to do. The problem was the way that I was talking to myself, the stories that played on repeat over and over and over again in my mind. The ones that I had heard play out so many times, they felt like the truth, like I was listening to the news. Stories like, I'm so short, my legs are too thick, my thighs shouldn't touch, my stomach is lumpy, I'm not doing enough. It's not working. I'll never be able to change. It's not fair. They can do it. They have the perfect body. It's so hard for me. I don't know why it's not working. What's the point? You know those stories. Maybe you have some of the same stories. Maybe they're similar, or maybe they are completely different, but they're there. And the more I thought about this, the more I saw how that inner mean girl was showing up in so many areas of my life. Sometimes she's the mean, self critical body shamer that she was for me for many years, but sometimes she's not. Sometimes she's very, very subtle. Sometimes she brings up stories we don't even know are stories because they feel so true. Stories like, I don't feel like it. I'm too busy. I don't have the time. I should be further along. Used to have it all together. I've let myself go. I don't know if I can do it. I started to see how my inner mean girl would spark jealousy in me when my friends would do something that I wasn't included in. And I would tell myself, well, I guess we're just not that close. And I would pull back from our friendship. Or when my son was a baby and I would tell myself, I can't leave him. I have to be here for him. I have to do the things. I do everything right. And how that fueled resentment because my husband would be able to go out and hang out with his friends. And once again, my inner mean girl would pop up and be like, well, must be nice. Must be nice. He gets to do it. And it was always me. It was always me holding myself back. I have seen this play out across so many different areas of my life. And the more women I coach, the more I see it play out in their life. And the more I see this play out, the more convicted I am in the belief that if, as women, we could identify those stories of our inner mean girl, every flavor of them, and quiet them down, tell her not today, our lives would change for the better. We would feel so much happier, healthier, more balanced, more confident. And that change would happen faster than we thought possible because we're no longer allowing our inner mean girl to turn us around or make us give up that old start and stop cycle that we have all been in many times. Since starting to coach, I have broadened my scope. I help women across all areas of their life because I see how much our health and our confidence is a culmination of all things. And that starts with quieting your inner mean girl. The only thing standing between where you are right now and where you want to be is your inner mean girl. It's her stories and the big, heavy emotions that come with them. It's the doubt and the fear and uncertainty that hold you back from taking action, even when you want it so badly. You may not even know that she is there, but I promise you, she is. When you quiet her down, even just for a moment, you find confidence to take a step, one small step forward. And that small step becomes evidence, evidence of what is possible, evidence of what you are capable of, evidence that you can quiet her down and what life is like when you do. I wish that I could tell you that she completely goes away when you develop the skill of quieting her down, but that would be a lie. She shows up every time you go for something new. Every time you step to the edge of your comfort zone, she will try to pull you back in. But you have the evidence. You know you can handle her voice. You meet her with compassion. You have patience with yourself as you navigate these new stories, but you keep yourself moving forward because on the other side is the life that you want to be living. It's the habits that you want to create. It's the confidence that you want to feel. You also know how much better life is there when she's quiet than here where she's loud and annoying and holding you back. And to bring this back to being human, I got really good at quieting my inner mean girl when it comes to my body. Then I got really good at quieting my inner mean girl when it comes to being a mom, then handling a busy schedule and lots of to-dos. I have so much evidence in my favor now from all of the reps that I have put in. But launching a business, putting myself out there, speaking my truth and what I believe to be the greatest change women can make in their lives, even when I think there are people out there who will disagree, my inner mean girl is so loud. There are days when I spiral in the same confusion, doubt, and overwhelm that I used to spiral in when I was struggling with my body, with food, and with movement. But this time I know that it's temporary. I have the tools. I'm developing the skill of applying those tools to this area of my life, and there is no looking back. I know that it requires me to do the uncomfortable thing, to move through the doubt and the nerves, to get on here and tell you my story, even though I feel like I am ripping myself open and pouring myself out. It is scary, and I believe that it could inspire someone today. And that is why I do it. That is what is on the other side for me, and that is worth it. 3 years ago, I was given the opportunity to bet on myself. I think it was like 2 days after my 39th birthday. I was let go of my job of 10 years because of a reorg. I had two choices. I could bet on the future that I wanted to create for myself and follow my passion for coaching, the thing that I had been doing kind of on the side before and after work whenever I could. Or I could listen to my inner mean girl and choose the safe route and apply for a different job. Go back to working in corporate or nonprofit. I chose to bet on myself, on my future, on the life that I wanted to be living, on you and what I know is possible for you, what I know that you are capable of, and what I know that I can help you with. I chose to quiet my inner mean girl, and now every day I'm choosing that again. I'm not there yet. Like I said, I had all of the feelings bringing you this episode today, but I was able to quiet her down enough to tell her not today and hit record. And I'm really glad I did. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I hope it inspires you to quiet your inner mean girl and choose the future that you want to create for yourself. And I invite you to do just that. Reach out, schedule a free consultation, learn about how my Quiet Your Inner Mean Girl method can help you. I cannot wait for you to do this work. And more importantly, I cannot wait for you to discover what is on the other side. All right, I will talk to you next week. If you are ready to quiet your inner mean girl, I invite you to join me inside Confident Mind and Body, my private coaching program, where you will learn to quiet your inner mean girl and create the habits, the confidence, and the life that you love. Just visit wellnesswithabbyh.com and schedule a free consultation.